Right, so it's been nearly 5 years since I started uploading to YouTube. In that time I've done a few car features, made a few how-to videos, but I've never opened the floor up to you guys, the people who actually watch them. Well, that's all going to change today. So I've asked across all my socials a couple of weeks ago to leave any questions you want me to answer, and today I'm going to blast through them all. No mucking about, go grab yourself a cuppa, get sat down, and let's get into it. I know, you're probably thinking, who does this pleb think he is making a Q&A? He's just some guy who makes shit car videos on the internet. Well, that's an extremely fair and valid point. I feel like a bit of a bellend doing it myself, to be honest, but I do get asked the same questions over and over again, and while I don't mind answering any of them, I just can't find the time to reply to every single one now. So like I said, I put a message out on all of my socials, and these are all of the questions that you guys sent in this time around. I'm not really sure what's the best way to go about doing this, so I'm just going to dive straight into the first one. Actually, I'll make a brew first, wait there. That's better. Have you sold the S2000? Yeah, I sold the S2000 nearly a year ago now, and I replaced it with a Mini. I probably bought the S2000 at the wrong time of year, right at the start of winter, but I just never really gelled with it. Even when we had some nice sunny days and I could take it out for a blast, it just wasn't really for me. I'm glad I own one though before the prices go silly, because you can guarantee they will do, because it's an old Honda. Plus the guy who bought it, he only lives 5 miles down the road. It was his dream car, and he's subscribed to the channel as well, so, you know, it's nice to meet one of you. How did you get into cars and bikes? I'm not sure really. My dad's into cars and bikes, but the older I get, the more I realise that he doesn't have a fucking clue about any of them. He just likes to have a nice one on the drive, and, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know, they've just always been there since I can remember, really. Watching Top Gear and Formula 1 on Sundays, playing racing games since I could hold a PlayStation controller. And now I'm actually old enough to understand cars and, you know, the technical stuff behind them, like functional aero and drag coefficients and shit like that. I'm more interested than ever about working on them or with them in some way. Do you like Porsches, and if so, what's your favourite? Yeah, I do. I've always liked them, unlike some people who've just jumped on the bandwagon since they became cool. I think the older you get, the more you realise that a 911 is just like the perfect car in every way. And a GT3, maybe not a GT3 RS, but a GT3 I think is like the sweet spot between a track car and a daily. It's like the perfect usable one, I think. However, with that being said, if I was given a blank cheque to buy any Porsche, it'd be a 356 Speedster. You probably weren't expecting that, were you? I chased one down the Golden Mile in Edinburgh to try and get a photo of one when I was about 16 with my DSLR camera, when I was into photography and stuff like that. But ever since that day, it's been the dream Porsche for me. Absolutely beautiful. How many subs/views are needed to go full time? It's difficult to say really, because everyone's stats are different, but going off what I got paid sort of like last year or last month even, I think I'd have to have at least 10 times the amount of views to be able to quit my job and just do this full time, just do the content that I make, which, you know, is just top quality content. That'd be around 800,000 views. 800,000 to 1 million views, I think, is what you'd need to be able to quit your job and just live comfortably. You could definitely get by with less views if you weren't into cars on YouTube, but cars are very expensive, and the videos that you make on cars are expensive. Fuel, tyres, modifications, bits and bobs like that, travelling up and down the country to film them. It's a bit different than sitting in your bedroom and filming video games. You pay 80 quid for a game, you've already got a PlayStation and a camera. Subscribers don't really matter that much when it comes to revenue, but if you haven't already, click it. Who do you use for insurance, and is it expensive on the Acti? You couldn't have asked me that at a better time really, because I've literally just renewed mine with Adrian Flux. Now, prices are obviously different for everyone, but this year I got a multi-car policy for the Acti and for the Mini, and it came to the same amount as what I was paying just for the M140i a couple of years ago, so yeah, really happy with that. It's hard enough trying to find a broker that actually knows what a Honda Acti is, but within 15 minutes he'd taken all of my details, all of our lass's details, all of the mods for the truck and for what's coming up on the Mini, and yeah, I was sorted. So you can't really ask for more than that, can you? They are the largest specialist motor insurance broker in the UK, and if you've got a classic car, modified car, supercar, a mixture of all three, or even a little toy car with an engine in it and you're struggling to find cover, you might as well give them a bell. That way you can speak to one of their insurance experts who actually know about cars, and then they can tailor the right cover for you. But yeah, I'll leave a link at the top of the description if you want to check them out. Do your tyres rub on the 𝙁𝘼𝙾𝙊𝙆? No, they don't. I have got a separate video on wheel specs for the 𝙁𝘼𝙾𝙊𝙆, so if you haven't seen that, you might want to go check it out. You should have probably watched it already, to be honest, if you're asking me this question. Shame on you. No, I'm joking, but no, they don't. I genuinely can't remember the wheel specs, though, because I have got 3 sets, so yeah, go watch that video. Who has the most subscribers who is subscribed to your channel? Alright, yeah, that makes sense. Beats me, I'm not sure, actually. I'll go have a look. There we go. Recent subscribers, it must be on there. If I go on to lifetime, and then subscriber count, flip it up. Bloody hell. Jap or German? 4 or 5 years ago, I'd have been firmly in the Japanese camp. But after experiencing a few BMWs, not just my little M140i, been in M2s, M3s, things like that, it makes it a little bit more difficult to choose. But if I had to just pick one, I think purely for the fun factor, it's still got to be Japanese. Who do you watch on YouTube? Right, so I'll have to break it down into cars and not cars. Got a list here on my laptop. So for car content, I watch Gears and Gasoline, Matt Armstrong, 𝙁𝘼𝙾𝙊𝙆, Bocker, The Late Break Show, Super GT, Misha, 𝙁𝘼𝙾𝙆𝙆, I think his sticker's up there. Yeah, that side. Probably all the same guys that you do, to be honest. But a lad who I've found whose channel's blasted past mine recently, it's a guy called Mr. V's Garage, or Garage. It's all F1 related content, which is sound if you're into that, like me. So if you aren't, probably best to give it a miss, but yeah, really like all their stuff. When I want to take a break from cars, I'll watch Away Days for football content, because I've got a serious football shirt collecting problem. TPD TV, big up Matty Bridie, and the Have a Word podcast, because it's just the best podcast in the UK. End of. No debate. Who's your favourite Spice Girl? Posh Spice.
Be honest.
I am being honest.
Alright, Sporty Spice, I like the trackies. What was your first car? It was a Suzuki GL 1.3 litre petrol, 3-door, red, white wheels, flat as a fart. I remember putting my foot down for the first time driving it after I'd passed in a Mini Cooper S and being like, what the hell? Is this what driving's all about? Fun fact, I actually got stuck to that car for an hour. I was putting the front badge back on and I didn't realise I got super glue all down my fingers. And yeah, I let it set and accidentally set my hand to the front grille and I had to wait for my mum to come home. Never made that mistake again though. Good times. Project car en route soon. I'm thinking about it. I've just watched Marty and Moog from Mighty Car Mods do a 24-hour endurance race around Sepang in a Daihatsu. It's not a Daihatsu, but it's the Malaysian equivalent of a Daihatsu. So yeah, have to see what happens. Any thoughts on the Hilux champ? Fucking random. Old ones that are indestructible, yes, very cool. I particularly like the short wheelbase Generation 4 models, which I don't think we got here in the UK. They got them in the US. New ones, though, just like any modern pickup, I can just take them or leave them. They all look the same to me now. Do you miss the GT86? Yeah, I do. For those of you who don't know, I used to have a GT86 before I started up all this YouTube shit. And Dan, the lad who's asked the question, had a very, very nice grey one. It's just a shame that they are horrifically underpowered and the engines are made of toffee, so you were just asking for trouble if you did any sort of power mod without forging the block. But yeah, imagine one of those with 250, 300 brake horsepower from factory. I'd probably still have it now. I love that car. Handled amazing. Love the truck, but I want your views on the Mazda UNOS Mark 1 MX5. If you were to build one, what route would you take? Controversial opinion here. I've never really got the hype around them, to be honest, but there must be some reason why they've got such a good following. I guess they're cheap and the rear-wheel drive. Yours looks quite nice, to be honest. Maybe I'd just build something similar to that, but I'd quite happily never own one. They are like the definition of money pit. Everybody who I know who's had one has had to spend thousands on it getting it right. I do know a fella with a turboed one, though, so yeah, that might change my mind. Are you doing any more mods to the Mini? Yes, I am. I haven't really done any mods to the Mini yet. I've just taken that disgusting chrome off. But yeah, I've got a few parts to fit just lying around the house, which obviously our lass loves. There's a roll cage in the living room. And I have got plans to buy a few more before we go on our little European road trip, which I'll talk about more in the next video. What company would you recommend for Ktruck Parts? So for maintenance items, I use a company called Yokohama Motors, but Tegawa here in the UK have just bought a truck of their own, which is it's really good for me because they've started supplying parts, so I can save an absolute heap of money on shipping from Japan. Odd Devices are the only other company that I've actually used for buying Acti parts, but they do all sorts. Brackets for the bed, exhausts, battery covers, underseat storage. The more popular that these little trucks get over here in the UK and the US, the more places you're going to see like Odd Devices popping up and, you know, selling parts for them, which is only a good thing. Specs on wheels and tyres. Do you need spacers, and is the roll bar custom? Bloody hell, triple whammy. Like I said earlier on, go have a look at the wheel video for the specs, because I can't remember them off the top of my head. But no, you don't need spacers, and they don't rub for the wheels that I run on the truck. Yep, the roll bar is custom. It normally comes with a like a clothes horse looking thing, just flat bars that goes across the back window. So yeah, the roll bar, roll cage thing is a nice little upgrade. Who did you use to import the truck through? Well, the truck was already imported over into the UK by a company called Ignition Imports. You might have seen the sticker on the back window if you've seen the truck in person. And I bought it from there. Richard, who runs the gaff, does an amazing job sourcing some of the cleanest cars coming up through the auctions over in Japan. Couldn't recommend using him enough. He made the sale super easy. The relationship I've got with him now after I bought the car is brilliant. You can fire him a question about anything. If it's a new car that you're looking for, if it's parts for the Acti, I could send him a message and he could source those for me, even though I know where to get them from now. I have asked him about a few cars that were coming up at auction, which didn't materialise on my end, but he was always happy to help. And he has some great stocking too, which you can see on the collection video when I pick the truck up. So yeah, go have a watch. Can I buy your Acti? 10k serious offer. It was up for sale for about 2 or 3 weeks last summer when my house got broken into and my motorbike and my pedal bike was stolen, and I was just thinking that they were going to come back and nick the truck, so I put it up for sale because I was a paranoid mess. Thought it was going to get pinched as well, but you missed your chance. It's not going anywhere now. Do you do cameos as Will from the In-Betweeners? Do anything for £5, mate. And finally, what to look for when checking out a Ktruck. Look, you know, they're just really simple machines. So whatever you'd normally look out for in a vehicle that you go and buy, just do the same thing. Rust, leaks. The one thing that maybe you might want to check out is the windscreen okay? Just check for cracks and scratches and chips, because apparently it's quite hard to source those. But there isn't really a great deal that makes them different from anything else. The good thing about them, even though they are only small, is that they are quite high off the floor, so you can get right underneath and inspect them. So, you know, stick your head underneath and you'll be able to tell if it's a scrapper. And yeah, that's it for now. I might do 1 or 2 of these videos a year if that's what you want, so just let me know down in the comments. Keep an eye out for me asking for you to get your questions in over on my Instagram. It is a bit strange doing this, to be honest, answering questions from people who I haven't met, but I don't mind. Anyway, I'll stop chatting shit now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop it a like, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.